Ussher 2 by Ray Bradbury. During the whole of a dull, dark, and soundless day in the autumn of the year, when the clouds hung oppressively low in the heavens, I found myself within view of the melancholy house of Ussher. Stendhal drank it in, the dreariness, the oppression, the fetid vapors, the whole atmosphere, so delicately contrived and fitted. The house of Ussher, planned, built, bought, paid for. Wouldn't Mr. Poe be delighted? Of course. How could anyone remember blessed Mr. Poe? All his books were burned in the Great Fire 30 years ago. Heartlessly. Oh, it started very small. There was always a minority afraid of something. Afraid of the future, afraid of the past, afraid of the present, afraid of themselves and shadows of themselves. Every man, they said, must face reality. Everything that was not so must go. So they lined them up against a library wall one Sunday morning and shot them down and burned the paper castles and the fairy frogs and the old kings and the people who lived happily ever after. For of course it was a fact that nobody lived happily ever after, and once upon a time became no more. Listen here, he said, looking toward unseen rockets. I came to Mars to get away from you clean-minded people, but you're flocking in thicker every day. So I'm going to teach you a fine lesson for what you did to Mr. Poe on Earth. As of this day, beware! The House of Ussher is open for business! A great church bell rang. The guest rockets were arriving. Smiling, he went to greet them. Eminent people, one and all, members of the Society for the Prevention of Fantasy, advocates for the banishment of fairy tales, burners of books, bearers of torches. Good, clean citizens, everyone who had waited till the rough men had come up and buried the Martians and cleansed the cities and made everything safe. And then with everything well on its way to safety, these spoil funds came now to set up their moral climates and dole out goodness to everyone. Welcome to the vast halls of death. Enjoy yourself, for tomorrow it will be a ruin. The house blazed with life and color. Through the rooms the guests ran, drunk at last, amid the robot fantasies, amid the dormice and mad hatters, the trolls and giants, the black cats and white queens. And underneath their dancing feet, the floor gave off a massive, pumping beat of a hidden and telltale heart. A man approached him. I'm Garrett, investigator of moral climates. Suppose you tell me about this place, Stendhal. It's a haunted castle, if you like. I don't like. Stendhal, I don't like. The sound of that word, haunted. Simple enough. In the year of our Lord 2005, I have built a mechanical sanctuary. In it, copper bats fly on electronic beams, brass rats scuttle in plastic cellars, robot skeletons dance, robot vampires, harlequins, wolves, and white phantoms, compounded of chemical and ingenuity, live here. That's what I was afraid of. I'm afraid we're going to have to tear your place down. I'd have come sooner, but we at Moral Climates wanted to be sure of your intentions before we moved in. We'll have the dismantlers and the burning crew come in 1 hour to knock props out from underneath this horrible place. Thanks for telling me. In the meantime, you might as well enjoy this. A little wine. A woman screamed. Miss Pope ran up, her face the color of a cheese. The most horrid thing just happened. We saw Miss Blood strangled by an ape and stuffed up a chimney. They looked and saw the long, yellow hair trailing from the flue. Horrid! Miss Blunt! Yes? But I just saw you crammed up the flue! Oh, no! A robot of myself. A clever facsimile. Oh, don't cry, dear. I'm quite all right. Let me have a look at myself. Oh, so there I am, up the chimney like you said. Isn't that funny? Miss Blunt walked away, laughing. Another scream. Mr. Steffens, borne upon the shoulders of 4 white rabbits, was carried down a flight of stairs which magically appeared in the floor. Into a pit went Mr. Steffens, where bound and tied he was left to face the advancing razor steel of a great pendulum which now whirled down closer and closer to his outraged body. "Is that me down there?" He bent over the pit. "How strange, how odd to see yourself die." The pendulum made a final stroke. "How realistic," he said, turning away. "Why, I remember that! From the old forbidden books! And the others! The pit, the pendulum, the ape, the chimney! The murders in the Rue Morgue! In the book I burned, yes! Would you like to see what we have planned for you, Garrett?" "Certainly. What's the difference? We'll blow the whole thing up anyway." He led Garrett down into the floor, through numerous passages, and down again upon a spiral staircase, into the earth, into the catacombs. "What do you want to show me down here?" "The Amontillado." "The what? Haven't you ever heard of the Amontillado? Don't you recognize this?" He pointed to a cell and produced a trowel from underneath his cape, smiling. "What's that thing? Come." They stepped into the cell. In the dark, Stendhal affixed the chains to the half-drunken man. "What are you doing?" "I'm being ironic. Don't interrupt a man in the midst of being ironic. It's not polite." "There! You've locked me in chains!" "So I have." "What are you going to do?" "Leave you here." "You're joking!" "A very good joke." "Where's my duplicate? Don't we get to see him killed?" "There's no duplicate." "But the others are dead!" "The ones you saw killed were the real people. The duplicates, the robots, stood by and watched." Garrett said nothing. "Now, if you'll please say, 'For the love of mankind, Monstressa,' and I will reply, 'Yes, for the love of mankind.' Won't you say it? Come on, say it. You fool! Must I coax you? Say it. Say, 'For the love of mankind, Montressa.' I won't, you idiot! Get me out of here! Here, put this on. What's that? A cap and bells. Put it on and I might let you out." "Stendhal, put it on, I said!" Garrett obeyed. The bells tinkled. "Don't you have a feeling that this has all happened before?" He set to work with the trowel and mortar and brick now. "What are you doing?" "Walling you in. Here's one row, here's another. You're insane!" "I won't argue that point." "You'll be prosecuted for this!" Stendhal took a brick and placed it on the wet mortar, humming. The bricks rose higher. "Let me out! Let me out!" There was one last brick to shove into place. Garrett, do you realize why I have done this to you? It's because you burned Mr. Poe's books without ever really reading them. You simply took other people's advice that they needed burning. Otherwise, you would have understood what I was going to do to you when we came down here a moment ago. Ignorance is fatal, Mr. Garrett. Garrett was silent. "Now, if you'll please say, 'For the love of mankind, Montressa,' I might let you free." The man's face came into the light. There was a hesitation. "For the love of mankind, Montressa." "Ah," Stendhal said, his eyes closed. He shoved the brick in place and mortared it tight. "Requiescat in pace, my friend." He hastened from the catacombs, out of the great house, across the moat to where a helicopter waited. He looked at the great house, smiling. It began to crack down the middle as with an earthquake. He watched the magnificent sight as he recited in a low, cadenced voice. My brain reeled as I saw the mighty walls rushing asunder. There was a long, tumultuous shouting sound, like the voice of 1,000 waters. And the deep and dank tone at my feet closed sullenly and silently over the fragments of the House of Ussher.